Okay, so hopefully, ta-da. Hey, listen, I got my cool hat on. All right. Hopefully everything will be as is, the correct way. Let me just try to double check. I don't know how to double check. I'm hoping just everything is as it is. All right. It seems to be fixed. I don't know what the problem is, but I'm glad that at least some of you are doing fine. Miller Finn, Avsky, all good. All right, so oh, the host. I know. I'm thinking about not doing it, but I think it's great for the community, so I might keep it. So the idea. Hey, Zelin. So I was thinking, started to rant yesterday about. Let's start the timer. So I started ranting about sci-fi, right? And what I was said, my homework was to think about what I like with sci-fi and what is the idea about sci-fi that I like. So one thing I was thinking about one thing I do like about sci-fi and what kind of sci-fi is in a way like I said I always start doing monsters, right? So that's one of the things with sci-fi I do like. I like to do aliens. I like to come up with new type of technology. I like to come up with new type of things with technology, right? So that's science fiction. Right? So, but another thing I was thinking about, which was lacking in yesterday's. Hey, good morning, Bon88. So one thing I thought about yesterday was what when I was thinking about sci-fi and what I like to do. One thing I do really like when it comes to sci-fi, which I think is automatic when I do monsters and creatures and so on in sci-fi, is that there is an attempt at a narrative. I think the things that I least enjoy drawing is what I drew yesterday, which is this dry armor design, right? It doesn't have any story, it doesn't have any purpose. It's just empty, generic, cool looking sci-fi thing. You know, it has no delivery to it. So that's one thing I think that I do enjoy with sci-fi is that the ability to create a new story or a new type of visual narrative that it helps explain a character. And that's what I think one of the things I really enjoy about sci-fi is that the ability to craft something new using technology, like that no one has seen before. Obviously, you're always gonna be reliant on visual cues and make something that at the naked eye makes sense for the viewer, right? You can't go completely crazy and just do a bunch of lines and say this is alien technology and no one will understand it. But then there's also this risk, what I think with like let's say yesterday's drawing, is that it has this risk of just becoming generic standard, what we would assume something is like, and that's something I don't want to do, right? I think I figured that with my homework that that's not what makes me happy. Hey Mila, good morning. Yeah, there's a new ArtStation challenge called Underneath the Surface, and like uh, Atsuki said, I posted it on the useful links section. I won't have time to contribute, but I thought I'd do some sci-fi because I think if I would do Underneath the Surface, I would go sci-fi. I feel like sci-fi, so I'm not going to start a submission for the challenge. Um, I think because I won't have time to finish it. But I'm also thinking, like, should I start a submission thread and just don't finish it for the sake of marketing purposes? You know, because every time I did contribute to the competition, my threads were, if not the most viewed, the top three viewed uh, threads or submission threads. Hey, Bruno Romanos. That's great, Mila. Great that you are joined and not watching Tim Remmers. So yeah, so I don't know. I think maybe I should just join and get the exposure because it's good exposure for anyone into that challenge, right? So if you only do one and people will enjoy it, they will remember. Like, oh yeah, I saw this one. This one was the. I remember. I remember your submission. You know, it's always good. So I'm thinking, I'm weighing the pros and cons of joining and not being able to finish it. Like, is it gonna be like viewed as bad, like unprofessional, or everyone knows it's a crazy deadline? You know, should I join the competition with a footnote or a clause stating I know I'm not going to have time to finish it, but I really, really want to be a part of the community, or some some oral diarrhea words, standard bull marketing words. Oh, I'm not enjoying this. This design took a weird turn somewhere. So let's do some bigger changes. At least this character or design has a little bit more personality to it, and I think that's at least what I enjoy doing a lot more of rather than yesterday's generic guy standing in a generic pose. Awaken the beast. Yeah, exactly. I think it's really important, and it's easy not to do it. You just go jump straight in, and there's no clear path to start venturing into, and unfortunately, a lot of times that shows when you don't have a clear path. Um, let's change that actually. So I'm a third in. I'm pretty okay. Famous last words. Um, A Surfer Strangler. Yeah, I came in third place last competition. I wish I would have had time to polish it more, but like I went to wedding, I was doing freelance, I was doing time day job. Hey, good morning, Captain Balls. Surfer Strangler. Yeah, you should really try to join a competition. It's really good, even though you might think you will never finish or you won't win. It's a really good way. I mean, there's no better way to measure yourself because you make it into a project and you pursue it to the best of your ability. And what's cool with this time around underneath the surface is like a keyframe um, category, which in other words means illustration. So if you just want to do an illustration and don't do like loads of crazy characters in a super tight deadline, just submit a keyframe, you know. And a keyframe could be a character standing in a location. So you'll just do one design that way. That actually might what I should join this time, even though I'm not. That's not like my forte. Forte. Um, yeah, I don't know. I do love designs though. I do love joining in the competition. But you should, all of you should definitely contemplate joining, even though you won't finish, even though you will be swamped and you won't have time. Start a thread, start communicating with other people in the competition. Go and look what they're doing. Write a nice comment to them, or compliment them, or give them constructive feedback. You'll be surprised how easy it is to build bridges. I mean, all of you don't know each other, and just by hanging out together, you guys are somewhat know of each other. Uh, and I'm quite sure because this has become such a tradition of always joining in, you'll remember these nicknames in the chat for quite some time. And you go, oh, Mila, oh yeah, we were at the warm-up stream on Dearbard, or such a little easy thing that can last years and years and years. And throughout my career, that has been the case. Just because I was very active at the forum years and years and years ago, there's a lot of people saying, "Oh yeah, I remember you from 2005." Even today. Well, wasn't it yesterday someone said, "Oh yeah, I remember you from concept art days." It's just crazy. Hey, Captain Jetlag, good morning. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, well, there, but keyframe is imagine the first poster or first screenshot from a new movie or a new game. Um, so usually what they do with those images is that it's a carefully selected scene, carefully orchestrated, so that when you do see it, everything is explained as much as possible with one image, right? So let's say a Clint Eastwood movie, a Western, they won't have a hanging man in there, probably. They will probably show Clint Eastwood standing, looking all mean like, holding a pistol, smoking a cigar, with money bag thrown over the shoulder, like what is called the good, bad, and the ugly, or whatever. And that will inform the most about the movie, right? So the idea of a keyframe illustration is the same. If you have an idea, what is the best solution when it comes to illustration to show that idea. So that's the idea of a keyframe. So a lot of times in pre-production is that you get hired to do a keyframe illustration that should show the publishers, that should show the producers the overall idea in a single picture. So let's say you're making a new game about open world destruction, gangs, and a specific location. So the keyframe will be, okay, so we're going to have a lot of players in the game, so obviously we need a lot of characters in the scene. The idea is to in this latest engine in this new game is that there is destruction, so we have to be able to show destruction in the scene, right? So then you got two parts in the brief that you need to check, right? So a lot of characters in a dynamic way, because obviously that's more interesting to look at, and destruction. And then they go, oh yeah, and this location is on the moon. So right, okay, so you got that checklist: destruction, moon, and lots of people in an interesting way. And then it's up to you to take that brief and make it interesting to look at. So when producers, etc., when they shop around the picture in the studio and have meetings, etc., or go out first time in public saying, "Oh, look, this is the latest, our latest game. Here's the concept from the game." People will go, "Oh, okay, I understand. It's an open world. There's lots of destruction. That's really awesome. They have a new engine, and all these things." And you don't show them the weapon room of the game because in this instance, because there's no reason to, right? Maybe in this hypothetical game there will be a weapon room, but why show that the first thing you do? Because it's without purpose. You will probably design this weapon room for the project, or hypothetical project, but it's not meant to be in a keyframe unless it's a big part of the idea, right? Mila, yeah, yeah, it's like a coffee. We're having coffee at the same place, but behind screens. I like the idea. I really love the idea of we all hanging out in the morning. Well, the benefits of internet and being social is the ability to be able to reach out. Not everyone needs it. Not everyone should. But the ability is there, right? Opportunities are there, and that's the great thing about opportunities, that when you do need them, they're could be there for taking. Anyway, so please do try to join the competition. There's many different categories. Also, this year, in Beneath the Surface competition for ArtStation, they have props. So if you want to do props, you can do that as well. You don't need to do characters or keyframe illustrations. You can also design props, which is pretty cool. Stands in such a stupid way. Struggling with the pose. I'm redoing the pose and just wasting time doing it. So you will join Quentin? That's cool. Good movement. It's super useful. And if you have noticed, I went back to an old warm-up technique. There, but I think stuff like this, hanging out, talking to each other, um, is really good practice for social situations. Um, I remember at the beginning of the stream, one after the other of you guys um, de-lurked, right? You came out of the shadows and said, "Oh, hello. Oh, like I'm not good at English or whatever." And you guys stuck around and started one after the other started talking, and now it's like a bunch of friends in a way. So for Straggler, who is normal? Do you want to be normal? I don't want to be normal. If normal, if you look statistically as a male, normal is probably the football guy um, without really any interesting hobbies, uh, that's in the middle of the road, um, you know, statistically normal. I don't want to be that. I'd rather be eccentric and weird and have interesting ideas and nerd out on certain things, and obviously that's not normal. Sitting and talking on internet about monsters and sci-fi and weird uh, th- uh, uh, thought trains of thoughts is not normal, and I'm happy that is I'm not normal. Just run, yeah, exactly, normal. Who got time for that? There's a lot of stigma. I mean, I can see a lot of younger people, um, especially men, young men. Um, there's stigma to it in a way, like it's not cool. The ladies don't like it. I think a lot of, I think in particular young men in fields like this have a hard time usually with women, unfortunately. Because being a great DM at D&D is usually not what girls swoon over. Unfortunately, there's a lot of stereotypes for men to follow in order to be attractive in that sense. And I think a lot of young men might have problems finding their place. I think the best thing is to just practice the social skills and then being proud of being weird, and everything will fall into place. Sophus Wrangler, yeah, one would hope so. One would hope so. Okay, we got 7.5 minutes left. I kind of like, I kind of like it. I like it more than I did yesterday's. So, needless to say, I know what the direction is more narrative. When it comes to sci-fi, I shouldn't. Okay, so what I came to the conclusion yesterday was I shouldn't try to do someone else's sci-fi. I should embrace the fact that I love doing monsters in weird armor. And the next step is how should I go about it, right? So my homework for tomorrow has to be how can I add variety, or how can I, whoa, that looks pretty cool though. Total accident. So what I'm struggling with, right, is, let me try a thing here. Okay. Let me try. Does that, oh no, okay. I have to do it like that. Okay. All right. I got this. This is gonna be weird. I kind of like it. It's a bit weird. Yeah, so doing these types of warm-ups, they feel very random, right? Because with a topic suggestion from you guys, it's easier to have a narrative, right? I can construct a narrative, I think about the narrative. So the conclusion of that means when I start doing something random, sci-fi related monster, which I enjoy doing with technology, is I have to start thinking about a purpose. Or would that help with the purpose? Because then it needs story, right? So, or maybe just I don't know. How can I bridge the I don't want to do generic sci-fi, right? I also don't just want to do monsters. I want to come up with, yeah, something I got to think about for tomorrow. If I would do a human sci-fi character, what would, like what would be, how would I enjoy it? Yeah, it's weird. That's nice. Just let's see what's the real. Oh, nice, Mila. Thanks for that. Monty, I'm a professional concept artist. So what we do every day at the beginning of the day is to do a 30-minute warm-up um, to just get creative and get the juices flowing. um, so that's why I only stream 30 minutes a day. I could just not stream and just do the in-house sketching for the sake of continuity for the studio. But I do like the idea of sharing and teaching and creating a community. I think the current state of our community, art community, is extremely lacking. So that's why I want to stream it. So my thought is I rather have 30 minutes than nothing, and hopefully you guys share the same Oh yeah, let's try the new technique of adding texture to my standard way. Oh yeah, look at that. That works. Oh. I like it. Level up. Level up. Oh yeah. Cool. I love little light bulb moments like this. Now I can bridge two ideas into one only because I was experimenting with it in another technique. That's really, really nice. That's really nice. That makes me happy. Allows me to put in texture carefully, a little bit more carefully than normal, and I don't need to worry about the underlying like softness of this technique. That's really cool. I like that. That made me happy. Yeah, Monty. I do longer streams. Today will be a longer stream. Tonight at 8 p.m. UK time. I'm gonna put on some music and not talk. Hey, Forum. Children. Yeah, we are also damaged. Damaged goods. Whenever I hear work, all I think about is the orcs going from Warcraft 3 going work. Yes. What? Such a gaming nerd. But I really love this overlay with light gray for texture information. Really nice. Gave it a special feeling. Let's add just some color to help push the placement of the character, just so we get a little bit more situation here. So he's looking. He's an angry man. Is he angry? Yes, he's angry. No questions. He's angry. He's an angry guy. All right, that's it. So I think with sci-fi tomorrow, this process, which is fun, I like doing this process for sci-fi. Homework is coming up with a better way to start a design so it's not generic, is that I need to limit it towards a narrative. Like angry or adjective verb in that sense. Punching, whatever. Try to focus my inner vision towards a design where design will be influenced by narrative and purpose rather than just make something generic. So that's my homework for tomorrow is to try to come up with a thought process that will help me get to that point. I think compared to yesterday's were just generic. I had to do sci-fi, so I just shape searching, which is pointless. This has a lot more narrative because I was thinking about light and pose, and the design came in after as I was developing it. So tomorrow I have to come up with more to the point. Right. Zug zug. Yes. Awesome, man. You're all nerds like me. Fantastic. All right. Thanks everyone for coming. Have a great day. Having a great day. Good night if you're in that part of the world. See you tomorrow morning and see you tonight. Um, all right. Outro time. 8 p.m.